So, and now I would like to hand over to Rinat, and I would like to give him some first question on the way. How is standardization done in Corona times, Rinat?
Oh yeah, that's. I hope you can hear me. Thanks, Günther, for this nice introduction as well. It's a heavy year. I mean, there is this usual normal what we are trying to get used to, and I think the biggest thing is that we don't see each other, because in sanitization, I think it's a very important thing that from time to time you just see the faces, although they are from other companies. You share the same ideas, and that's very important for us for the future as well, to make that possible. So I will just continue. Thanks, Günther, for your introduction. And I try also to give you a little bit of a sneak preview what AUTOSAR is really about. And on the other side, also what we see as future challenges in the second part. But in between, don't miss that, there is a part where we have a technical overview over the release. This is the general reason why we try to enable you to use the standard as good as possible. We have a kind of mission for us, which is very important. We see ourselves in a global environment, and to standardize the software platforms of the future, but also to look on EE architectures and demands coming inside our cars. This means the standardization is never before important for the future. Our current value chains and working processes are really changing. And with this step, I also would like to highlight a little bit our mission. Our vision in this one is as well that we look on the future and say we are the global standard for the future to enter the automotive field and future mobile industry with intelligent intentions. And saying that, I think there are three different aspects very important, such as safety, such as security, which is dependability, in fact, and then also looking on methodology that is providing you a way to include the systems inside to your cars. And this is a very huge task, because we are part of an ecosystem that is changing from the technologies that it's trying to use. And a little bit looking back to the future, AUTOSAR was established 2003, so we are not yet 20 years old, but we are quite good in creating the right technical topics for the future. And if we go for standardization for next step, before the serious projects, we try always to enable our partners before we go to serious projects. That's why the early standardization is one approach, and the other approach is to take the standards as they are in the community and to simply summarize them to one solution that can be really used. And these two approaches are very important in this context, because reusability is from one platform series in life cycle to another, one of the main aspects of software architectures and the future architectures. You can reuse software from one project to another, but also from supplier to another supplier, but also from OEM perspective. So there are different ideas of reusability in this context. And we found this organization in 2003 to have a good environment, and the co-partners who are leading this project initiated this with management in several levels, because the 9 core partners are the owner of this organization, and we try to manage that in a way that all partners can share their ideas and use the licenses we are proposing in our development agreement. In fact, there are 2 big licenses that we are using, the development license and the exploitation license. And the exploitation is also one step we are doing today. If we release something, we are bringing it out to outside, to people who can simply look into the standard, but also adopt it to their products. This exploitation is very important. We try to manage that in three different aspects. The first one is the governance level from executive board. The strategy part is discussed in the steering committee, and we have the technical steering on the PL team. The PL team is the project leader team, is the most frequent group that are meeting each other and try to help the working groups to establish an environment from technical perspective. Topics like strategy for the future or international approaches are done within the steering committee. And of course, there is an ultimate decision body on top that gives you a stamp to continue for the next year. If we continue to see on the organization how it's more detailed, and this is really the magic area, I would say, where we have a lot of partners introduced in the orange zone, but also in the gray lead working groups. The lead working groups are the most important because they create a kind of network, a kind of net of information, and collect the other working groups, the content to the platform idea. The two software platforms we are standardizing is the classic platform, but also the adaptive platform. And the classic platform and the adaptive platform are two platforms that can be individually built and are described in the lower part of the working groups. The higher part shows the common part of the system that helps us to integrate to a car. So if you have a feature, for example, for vehicle to X or diagnostics, and it includes in both platforms, you discuss that in the diagnostics working group. And if you have something for the demonstrator, for example, in adaptive, or the RTE in the classic platform, you simply join the working group in the dedicated platform. And we usually see also a lot of interaction because there's a need of communication. The works are really meeting like virtually weekly, and usually we have also face-to-face meetings, which we really we're looking forward to have them again, of course, in 21. This is the step where I say I think the most important partners to have our project running are already there. Yeah, we know which topics we need to enable our serious development, and it's a very powerful idea which was established some years ago. But it's today even more important to tackle future challenges. Therefore, we have the required partners. Yeah, just a second. There you go. That's better now. So I'm back again. I think this will disturb. We have, of course, so we are live today. That's a good thing. That's why everybody can call me and interrupt. We have the right partners in place. The core partners, as I mentioned, are working on developing the organization to the next step. And all the partners with a logo are helping us in the development. Until end of November, they pushed a lot of content to the release. It was bugs, change requests, new concepts, and the really benefit is including the associate partners. More than half of the partners are 150 are simply reusing the standard inside of the product idea. Also strategic partners we have to mention here, which are LG and Denso, that helps us as premium partner at the moment, and attendees are non-profit organizations and universities that are connected to this organization. So you see around 300 partners are really critical value, I think, to establish an important ecosystem for the automotive industry. So let's continue. Check. Still working. Next slide, please. There you go, thanks. We see as well that the vehicle computers of the future, and this challenge is there for decades at the moment. We started with electronic devices that were standardized, and in 1990, then infotainment did a lot of a good step in direction of software development. 2010 was then I think a step for domain controllers and also domain architectures within cars. There were several integration platforms within the EE architectures. And what we are now looking into is 2025 with so-called vehicle computers in the middle, which are highly integrated systems and have a kind of zone architecture for the car developed, where sensors are also reused in the back. We will see this picture in a more detailed way later, but I also would like to go on with a little bit of deep dive how this technically is connected. So this car has in the middle a kind of Ethernet backbone that communicates with usual standards from IEEE, for example. And we use protocols for the physical layer to interact, such as DDS or SUMIP, and then to connect the classic platform, adaptive platform, with non-AUTOSAR platforms, such as proprietary solutions from individual partners. And this is somehow the picture how EE systems are looking from the bus perspective. But if you look on each platform individually, there are clear demands from platforms, such as safety and security. If you go for up to ASIL-D systems for classic platform, for example, it is a field-proven platform that gives you a range of suppliers and a high level of efficiency in the hard real-time deployment. And we see also a possibility in flexibility and like the complex device driver approach. So you can easily go up to microseconds with this platform. It's also verified and certified up to ASIL-D, which gives you the right approach to make safe systems. And looking further, we said, what's the next step? I think 5 years ago, we established a study group. And if you look back at standardization within 5 years, it sounds like a lot of time, but we are releasing since 3 years the adaptive platform. And there are already now, as we are talking today, cars driving with the adaptive platform on the road. And there will be even more starting with next year. That's why it's important to understand that we are not just talking about standards that are somewhere written down in paper. They are provided by suppliers and integrated by OEMs to our cars. And if you look back, then where we started is usually safety and security, because this is what the community is known for. We have high dependable systems, and this is also what we want to push inside to the standard of the adaptive platform. Extend that to the connectivity approach, because we are only one part in a highly integrated system, in a HPC, and also to add an update and dynamic mechanisms to update software parts, because we don't think that an ECU will last with the same software version for years. We need to update that from the whole image, but also maybe with smaller parts on function cluster level. So all these three aspects are added then based for POSIX and Linux system as an operating system below. And you add some function clusters on top that gives you a possibility to highly integrate future features. I would like, next slide, thanks. If you take the summary as the differences, so classic and adaptive. The classic platform has millisecond latency and response time capabilities, and microsecond and the milliseconds are done on the adaptive platform. So we talk about soft real-time applications, but It also gives you a certification level up to ASIL B, and of course higher computing power for the adaptive platform. And the classic platform is used for microcontrollers, so not microprocessors like the adaptive platform. And this gives also a possibility to distinguish in your hardware architecture. Let's continue what's new. I mean, this is something which also introduces already the next topic, where we really appreciate today to have the great experts from the community with us. And it's I think, a very great step, because 2020 challenged us a lot in the idea we standardize things. We were somewhere in the middle of the year, and COVID really challenged individual people, the companies, but also the community itself. Although it was happening, everybody did the best they could, and they achieved a great work. That's why we would like to pronounce that today. And what's in there? So I would like to give you a short overview. We start with a foundation. The foundation is like your basement. If you start a car, you have a system-wide standardization need for topics in the area of security, safety, or energy management here. So I will just highlight some of them, like intrusion detection systems and system health management. On the other side as well, I think Ethernet wake up on data line is an important thing. And these three features are developed within one individual concept and then brought into the dedicated specifications. So the platforms we are building on top of this foundation can reuse this layer of basement. And let me just take 2 arrows to the higher level. So then the platforms are deployed on top. You try to enable, of course, your EE architecture, and then the classic platform jumps in. And we see topics like 10-base T1S, a new protocol layer for Ethernet parts, or a very extensive concept for flexibility. We understood classic platform has some constraints in the deployment, and we try to make that leaner for the future. On the other side, I think adaptive platform, it's a little bit bigger from the size perspective, because it includes as well a demonstrator. The whole AUTOSAR organization went through a lot of changes in the last 2-3 years, including the demonstrator was one perspective to validate the adaptive platform with one source code baseline to a release. And this time it's released in time to synchronize together with the specification. And I'm very proud of the community, but also the release management, technical management, but also the software development engineer who really, so head off, really, you really did a great job here. Just to highlight the adaptive platform a little bit, we have an architecture layer, which is new. We include decisions of architects and the design. In the design, we see an UML model, how the class diagrams are connected. The main language is C++, so we have a C++ language binding in the middleware. And then some concepts again comes on top, like the crypto API, which was a hard job over the last years, and the IAM, identity and access management, from the security corner. But you will get a lot of more details in the next slot. So I would just like to conclude on the last slide. And there are always some numbers around. It gives us a little bit of an impact or an imagination how this work was done. And I would just like to summarize some numbers for the release 2011 and as the last slide. And you see 3,038, then 1,829 up to one topic. And let's start with the biggest number. We have 3,038 incorporation tasks among the whole community done in 3 standards. We included a change 1,800 829 change requests within the AUTOSAR community. They were discussed and then pushed to a change control board and the architecture team to approve them. We have 295 partners collaborating in 20 working groups, as we have seen today, and 14 new concepts for adaptive and classic to tackle the future goals. So 14 concepts, that's high value still for both platforms. And we standardize 2 software platforms and try to achieve one holistic EE system architecture for future intelligent mobility. This sums up it to the idea we have with the first parts, which means with the vision and the mission. And I hope I could give you in 20 minutes a really nice wrap up of the package of the release, but also looking forward to your questions in Slido.